Hello and welcome, I'm Arumba. Thank you for joining me. We have a brand new patch for Europa Universalis IV. I have gone through and removed the changes that aren't really big, and I just want to give you like a consolidated patch note summary so that you can see like what some of the biggest changes are in 1.3 and how it's going to affect you while you're playing. So we're going to go read through this thing. This is not the complete patch notes. If you want them, there should be a link in the description down below. But also, this is a good summary of what you need to know. So, okay, let's go. New features. 3 new countries can now be formed through decision: Hanover, Westphalia, and Greece. Minor enhancements to Africa are now done, with national ideas for Congo and Mali, cavalry for Sub-Saharan tech group, flavor events for Congo, Ethiopia, Mali, and Songhai, and a new revolter country, Jolof. The Knights have gained unique national ideas, 5 new achievements. Just a little patience, nobody wants to die, double the love, turning the tide, and liberty or death. There's a new ledger page showing the location of all trade goods in the world. Onward to game balance. Rebalanced land combat algorithms to be based on direct values instead of relative bonuses, also known as the late game is as bloody as early game. So many people hypothesized that there was a bug in the game, and it was proven to be true in the Paradox forums. Combat was brutal in the beginning of the game, and then toward the end you just simply could not run out of manpower because nobody died. So that's been fixed. Big change. I would recommend that. It's such a huge change that you might want to just restart your games. You know, start a fresh campaign. The game's totally different now. Moved away the quality impact from scaling weapon modifier to scale actual damage. This is kind of tied together. There's now damage on morale on units in the back line during land combat, so even harsher combat. Tweaked up strength damage slightly in land combat, and naval landings now have a penalty of -2, up from -1. So naval landings are going to be much more dangerous now. Province trade power is now given to the controller of the province, not the owner. So if you are sieging a target holding and you win the siege, you would gain the trade power from that province until the war ends. So it's pretty significant. You can not only cripple their income from occupation, but also from trade. Trade steering. Let's turn that down just a little bit. I think I had that louder from earlier. Trade steering now also modifies the amount of money that goes forward from a trade node you have a trader in. So it's not just multiplying your trade power, but also the amount of money. So it's going to increase the amount of money that goes out. So trade steering just got a pretty major buff there. Fleets now leave settlement when it is destroyed instead of dying. So if you've ever had this happen, you probably would be very frustrated. If you dock a fleet in a settlement, like a colony, something that you are colonizing, if that colony gets destroyed, say due to people, native uprising, then the ships will just disappear. Now they will just leave port. You can no longer detach blockades if it is only full of transports, so you cannot blockade with transports anymore. You have to use actual ships, which kind of makes sense. Unit movement is now cancelled when a unit is attached to another unit. So if you use the attach button, you can no longer do it. You can select armies around it. You cannot control that unit if you attach it. So it just makes it easier to have the AI play smarter and for players to play smarter. You can't do harsh treatment in provinces that you don't control. So let's say you have a risky province. You're worried about revolt risk. Somebody's already occupied it. You don't have control over it. You can no longer do that while it is not in your control. Moving units through siege does no longer give them a ghost 1% attrition, so just walking through land won't give you the offensive sieging attrition penalty. Attaching units now syncs their movement to the target unit, so they'll no longer kind of move in stutter step. Disabled forced march on inherited units. So it used to be that if you inherited a country and they had the offensive ideas tech group, they had forced march, or sorry, not tech group, but the idea. Then it could happen where you'd actually have forced march get stuck in the on position. You could just never disable it. So they've fixed that by doing this. You can disable, it's automatically disabled. And there's a patch note lower down that says that you can always disable it no matter what. Splitted units now keep their exile status, so you can no longer have exiled units and just press the split button and then start using them again. It's no longer possible to sell provinces to anyone who is at war. Tweaked down the lucky impact on inheritances from 10% to 5%. This is only going to matter for AI. It's the lucky nations bonuses. Annexation and integration progress is now halted if the capital of the minor is occupied. Expansion casus belli is only on those with capitals in Asia and is also accessible to the Ottoman tech group now. It's pretty big if you like playing as the Ottomans. Countries will no longer lose cores on non-cultured provinces when annexed. This is huge, huge change. It used to be that you would basically have to recore everything if you vassalized and then annexed a country that was not part of the same culture group. Now they will no longer lose their cores, so it's a good change. It was very strange in 1.2. Integrating or annexing an overseas vassal is now slower. Releasing a privative country as a vassal no longer gives them your technology levels. Revoking electorate through war now reduces imperial authority by 10. And when Japan forces a daimyo to release another daimyo, that daimyo will become a vassal of Japan. Players can no longer be can also be replaced as war leader in a defensive war. You can no longer leave coalitions if you're at war with a target. Kind of makes sense. You promised to go to war. Insults now decay over time. You will no longer get aggressive expansion from inheriting another country, so that's good. Cancelled vassals no longer get at-war negative modifier with the country that cancelled them. Was at-war modifier is now applied at the end of the war instead of while you're at war. Rev and counter-revolutionary Casus Belli gives 50% aggressive expansion instead of 75, so it's a bonus to... It's a reduction in aggressive expansion from those Casus Belli. Maintenance cost for colonies above the limit is now properly adding 100% that it was missing before, so this should hopefully clarify that tooltip. I knew there was something wrong with it. Cotton now only gives a 5% colonist chance instead of, I think, 25%, which is what it was before. It's huge, so severely nerfed there. Hordes cannot westernize unless they have reformed their government. Defender of the Faith war goal can now apply when declaring war. Defender of the Faith now gives normal Deus Vult CB as well. Now you have to wait 36 months between excommunications, so you can no longer chain excommunicate all kinds of people. It's just one every 3 years. Holy Roman Empire members of the same religion as the Emperor will no longer get upset when the Emperor enforces religious unity on another member. Makes sense. The Test Act, Superintendent Office, the Popery Act, and the Conventicle Act are now cleared when converting religion. Enabling war taxes no longer increases war exhaustion by 1. That's a kind of a bug from the last patch. 1.2 changed the way that war exhaustion was affected by war taxes, and that was just kind of reminiscent of it. Unions can now end when the subject dislikes their overlord, as the tooltip says. Or it's not that they can, they will. If they dislike you, if you go negative, they'll cancel the union. Lesser countries in a union no longer get stability hits when the monarch dies. Pretenders breaking the union also break the royal marriage. Unions breaking from effects now give proper Crassus Belli and show message as well. Pretenders taking control in a lesser union control countries now break the union. You can no longer core provinces adjacent to overseas vassals unless in colonial range. It's a good change. This is my favorite part of the entire patch right here. AI less likely to switch attitudes and become hostile or rival towards an ally. Thank God. I hated that in the multiplayer session that I was doing with the guys that we play with. You'd ally somebody and then the damn bastard would rival you, and it's like, what? You're allies, you retard. Like, why did you do... And it's not likely, admire. AI has a higher priority on building temples, less likely to choose allies as rivals. Thank goodness. The AI is less predictable about who they will choose as a rival, because they're not going to always choose their allies. AI is now less willing to peace early in the war. No more Shenra paying off all of my allies. As far as interface improvements go, the changed government, it doesn't show legitimacy in the confirmation dialogue if you're not a monarch. The tooltip for advisor slots available is now more clear. Religion has a sort button that is now functional. Stabilized the papacy votes list, which is good. Added 1 extra digit to the inflation tooltip for the economy tab. Repay bank loan message is now more descriptive. Actions that aren't available after the Crusades ended in 1650 are now visible but disabled. Added an icon in the war overview for countries that cannot negotiate peace. Thank God! I was so tired of checking every individual participant to see if I could piece them out or not. Now there's an icon to let you know whether or not they're able to negotiate. Added an icon in the diplomacy view for members of the HRE. Added an icon for non-negotiable participant in the war overview. Fixed enforced peace message to others so it's clear who signed peace with whom and who enforced it. Too many diplomatic relations now shows how many you are over instead of just saying that you're over. Added a type to call ally actions so you can more easily find who you were brought into the war. Distinguish allies and coalition members when declaring war. Provinces now show the owner of the colony's chance to attract people rather than the player's hypothetical chance if you were to colonize it. Force March can now always be toggled off. Updated the supply limit tooltip next to text to be more clear so we understand what's going on with the supply limits. Added an explanation of the yellow stripe to the HRE map mode tooltip. Changed the revolt map mode so it can show a greater range of revolt risks. Colonization map mode colors and tooltips now reflect more accurate what is possible and not possible. Fixed the call to arms message so that the Defender of the Faith correctly shows why you're called into the war. Because you're the Defender of the Faith. Thank goodness. I am so tired of losing. I did it all the time. I'd lose the Defender of the Faith because I wasn't sure why I was getting called in, and it was because I was the Defender of the Faith. And changes to the outliner. The show merchant status and tooltip only instead of the name, since it is it can be hard to see what they're doing if they have long names. Annexation should now correctly update in the outliner, and it should also be more consistent progress in both the diplomacy view and the outliner. So these are the summary. I'm going to link to the overall patch notes here. It's quite a bit longer. There's a bunch of modding type stuff in there as well. I'm really excited about this patch. I love the way that Paradox is keeping this game really crisp and clean, and they're working out all the bugs, and it's really good. I wouldn't say that it came out unfinished. They're just making it better, in my mind. It was a good game in version 1.0. It's even better now. So thanks for watching, everyone. Hopefully you enjoy this, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. See you soon.